April 9th, 2019 to order. The last time I'm calling it to order as president. Roll call, please.
Trustee Christensen. Here. Cunningham.
Here.
McNally.
Here.
Breinig.
Here.
Hollenbeck.
Here.
Kumbir.
Here.
Struss.
Here. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
No, it's the other way around.
Well, where are we? We're over there.
Oh.
What happened?
All right, move.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Switching it up on us. Proof of posting.
The agenda was posted in the upper and lower levels of the Amundson Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, Hometown Bank, and the village website.
Very good. Public appearances. You folks here for anything, Paul, Shirley, for public appearance? Yeah, come on down. Okay. If you could step up to the table here with the microphone.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
the
they
hot-
are.
The hot
Yes,
seat.
they are. Yes. You can sit.
No, you can have a seat. Get comfortable.
My question is about,
If you could just introduce yourself for the.
pardon me, oh,
Sure.
Shirley Holsteeder, own Elegance and Design Studio.
Thank you.
My question is on this bike trail. I'm really kind of wondering why 134 isn't going to be the easy route for this connection, especially now there has been a sign put on 134 saying for the next 3 miles, it is a bike route.
Okay.
And do I understand correctly that with the Dane County grant, the $250,000, that Cambridge has to match that?
Well, the committee, the bike committee has to come up with that. But the way the grant works, it's up to that amount. So if the committee only raises 100,000, then the county will only match up to 100,000.
Okay.
So that's the
but-
maximum, but you're not required to hit that before the money. And the money has to be spent and then receipts shown, invoices paid and whatnot
But
to get reimbursed.
The village is not on the hook for the 200, the matching 209.
Okay,
No.
so,
The committee.
so
Right.
who is the bike committee?
Well, it's made up of a number of people. Mark's on it, I'm on it. We have representation from Jefferson County, actually, and from Dane County, and some bike enthusiasts. Tom Tabiste has been attending. He's not really a member, but as our engineer, he's been attending all the meetings.
Uh-huh,
Bob Saloff is a member.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of the chair. So the reason we're not using 134 is because of traffic.
it's
We-
not a traffic heavy.
Well, it's heavy
I
enough.
travel it twice a day,
Yeah.
7 days a week,
Okay,
all hours of the day.
yeah.
As a matter of
And
fact,
it
I
is-
was going to take videos of it every day, going up
Okay.
and down it. And
Yeah.
there's matter of fact, I was on Reiner Specter Road that has bike lanes on both sides. Now, you want to talk about a busy road.
Yeah.
That's a busy road. An extremely busy road.
We went through the committee went through, and our engineers went through a whole analysis of traffic patterns and things. And 134 was one of the options we looked at. But we found going the other route up Prairie Road was far
Now-
less traffic and a shorter route, too.
Is
to
it
get to
not
the trail.
true that Deerfield Township said they would not be supportive of it going down Prairie Road?
Well, they're not excited about it, but they can't stop it. It's a public road.
And you really don't think that once people get on State Farm, they're not going to take a right and go to 134?
Well, if they do, that's fine, because like you said, it is designated as a bike route. It'd be
And
another option. But we're also looking at people coming in from Madison that they're going to hit Prairie before they hit 134. So it's a quicker route down. If they're coming from Lake Mills, maybe they will take 134 down.
I personally traveled 130, or Prairie Road, when 134 was under construction. It's extremely narrow road.
It is.
With farm equipment.
It is. Wow.
I would say that is more detrimental to a
Yeah.
bicyclist than 134. I also contacted the gentleman in Joe Parisi's office that the study on 134, and the study went on in 2007, 2008, and then the village of Cambridge said they wanted it to go through subdivision and where parks would be. And that's why it was abandoned. I have a letter from them.
Okay.
that-
Well, I mean, it is true that we wanted to connect those subdivisions. That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's one of our goals too, so now people have a safe route to downtown along that bike path. So that was another goal, true.
And how do you plan on crossing 134?
Uh,
You're already
they'll-
crossing two major highways,
Right.
12,
It'll be the
18.
same sort of, hit a button and the lights will flash.
But where are they going to cross at
Um,
134?
Very, where that little Lucille court is that goes into, it'll be right near that intersection.
And then from there, how are you going to get up 134 to the vineyards?
No, it'll be a path that'll go along 12 and 18. It'll actually be a paved path.
So 12 and 18, you think is a safer road than
No,
134?
no, it's going to be off-road. There's quite a wide shoulder there. And so it'll be between the road and then where it rises to Winter Haven, or
Woodhaven.
Woodhaven. It'll go along there to the Vineyard Drive or to Kenseth Way by the winery, and then it'll be on road, take the bike trail, and then go up on off-road through the
So you're going
foundation.
a quarter of a mile down Highway 18, 12 and 18, instead of going down 134 that already exists a right-of-way that they could put a bike trail down, plus the fact that they widened those two curves that definitely are the width of a bike excess. I just think that we're wasting
Do you have
money
room for
in
any
the
more
wrong
people on the
ways.
committee?
Sure. Yeah,
What?
if you want to join the committee.
I just asked if there was room for any more people on the committee because you seem very knowledgeable of the
Well,
area.
I went out to that, I was under the impression a few years ago, before 130 was done, that is where it was gonna go, that it was gonna be widened. Matter of fact, my stepson owns property, and he was supposed to have trees taken down, and then all of a sudden that was abandoned.
Right, and that wasn't a village decision.
Well,
That was a state DOT. Because we even submitted we had to submit plans of where all our water and sewer is, and then to show that we were gonna have enough cover over all those. And then and so we did a lot of work so that they could do that expansion, and then it never happened. They only did the S-turn, and the rest of it they abandoned. It's, DOT's short of money. So they also want the county to take it over. It's
well,
the-
there again, you're talking, you have a bike committee and funding from Dane County that, for this project. And why maneuver, I mean, I'm not a bike enthusiast, but I watch bikes go by my shop all the time. And I watch bikes go down 134 all the time, and runners go down 134. So they're going to continually do that. So
Well,
why?
this will give an alternate route. And our engineer's right here. Maybe Tom could address this. He worked on the study.
I am going to interject. Public comment isn't supposed to be back and forth
Okay.
discussion. This is
Okay.
on the agenda later,
Okay.
so we can discuss it at more length
Oh, that's true.
under
It
the
is-
agenda item.
It is
But
true.
public comment is not.
I'm sure the committee would let you come
Yeah,
and talk to them.
Okay, that would be great. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
And when we get to it on the agenda, if there's
Sure.
questions,
Okay.
but it's not meant public comment.
Sorry about that.
No,
I mean,
that's fine.
Yeah,
Thanks, Shirley.
no
But
problem.
it is on the agenda, so we can talk
yeah.
about it later.
This is true if you want to stick around.
Okay, and then on that development? I guess my only question and looking at that is being careful of continually building north of town because it has such an effect on people south of that building. Back in May of '99, when we had the rainiest May on record, and I
Well,
had
it did get turned down last night.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
The plan commission voted it down, which means it's dead.
Oh, okay.
Unless they come back with another plan.
I mean, I want the development, just
Right.
maybe
We all-
south.
We all kind of do
Not north
like
of
to
me.
see, but
I think that was one of the big comments last night of the people. It's like, we want the development, we're just not sure that's the right spot for it.
Right.
Was the
Okay,
concern.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
sure, Shirley. Thanks for coming. Okay, any other public comment? Sylvia or Patty? No? Okay, we'll move on then. Approval of consent agenda, which is the village board minutes from March 26th, our audit and finance committee from April 4th, and one operator's license, Alina Pacino, this is how you say it, Pacino, for Stop and Go.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Very long minutes, 6 pages. Very thorough. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Under my update, things I've worked on are further down on the agenda, so I don't have anything other than that. We'll take them up later. Plan Commission of April 8th, just last night.
Yep, just last night, and basically the planning commission voted to just stop all work on the
That's it.
TIF. Yes, chose not to send it to the village board,
Yep.
and it was a long meeting.
Got a lot of comment.
Yes, we did.
And that was pretty much all it happened.
That's it.
Okay, any questions for Kathy? Very good, we'll move on then to village office updates, administrator, clerk, treasurer, Moen.
A lot of work with election, pre-election, election day, post-election. We had our public test and poll worker training, all the notices, certifying the results, delivering the results. We will now start on the paperwork for after the election, which there's still a lot to do. A notice has gone onto the website and the newspaper regarding the vacant seat. Letters of interest will be due April 18th to be taken up at the 23rd meeting. Audit prep continues. Barb is almost done with reconciling. We are completing some spreadsheets as we can that the auditor has requested. There will be more discussion on this as we move down on the agenda. Worked a lot with Ellers in preparing for the Joint Review Board and the Plan Commission meeting yesterday, all the postings and publishings that need to go to meet state statute. A meeting has been arranged with the DNR for the Melster site. That will happen on the 23rd. I did speak to Mary Bailing. She is supportive of us obtaining legal counsel in the environmental area. She was very comfortable with that, had no concerns. Working on preparing to go out for an RFP for trash and recycling. That will be up this year. I've met with a number of firms. Rockdale is also going out, so we're going to try timing it at the same time to see if it can benefit both of us. Working with River Architect on the Village Hall remodel. That will be on the agenda later. The meeting with Oakland has been set for the 24th, and I've been working with their new clerk, helping him get up to speed and set the agenda for that meeting.
That'll be out at there.
That will be out
Facility.
there.
Okay. Mark?
What day of the week is that? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Good.
2 questions. Number 1, how did the equipment for the voting
Good.
perform? Any?
Good.
No problems?
No problems.
Good. Number 2, I like the idea that we're going to try to do something with Rockdale on refuse service. What about Christiana or Oakland? Where are they at in their
Oakland
cycling?
just signed a new contract.
Yeah.
I did meet with their representative today.
Okay.
They will be submitting a bid when we go out. He thought it would work very well
Yeah.
to do the whole area at the same time.
Who did Oakland go with?
They went with
Badger.
Badgerland.
Really?
They didn't go with the incumbent.
With Rock, yeah.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Some new faces out there. Good.
Okay. Anything else, Lisa? I know Barb's off. She's
Barb
at a
is-
conference or,
She's at a conference this week.
yeah, doing some work in her spare time. Trying to get ready for the audit.
Yeah, she's on an federal election commission, so that's down south. She went down, that's 3 days, and then she took a couple days to see her son who lives down there.
Great. Okay. Any other questions for administrator? Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Bills. We have bills before us in the amount of $37,738.05. I'll entertain a
Again,
motion.
there was the one change from the bill that was in the original packet.
Right.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills in said amount.
Second.
Okay. Under discussion, as Lisa mentioned, there was one to Accurate Appraisal, misrepresented at 19,800. It was 1,980, so a little decimal point error there. So that brought the bills down. I think in our packet they were 45,000
Yeah.
something.
And then there
60.
was a second run that's in the packet that were
Yep.
just like 5 bills
Yep.
that were added today.
Oh, okay. Yep. And then I did have one question, and that was regarding the contract with the chamber. And it showed that it was a second installment already.
We had said we'd pay quarterly, the
Right.
first meeting of each quarter. So once the contract was signed, the first check was cut.
But that wasn't a quarter ago. That was only.
Well, that was for the first, it's for this year. The contract read, the first check
January
would be
1st.
cut when the contract was signed.
Okay.
And then each subsequent would be the first meeting of each quarter.
Okay. So have we gotten reports on progress yet, or
No, so I will be talking to Dusty and see,
could we hold off on that check until we get that report? I mean, I kind of feel like we're paying
we
money out.
could, the contract's just been signed a month, so,
Right.
but.
And that's my point,
um,
is that we're already spending $5,000 and we have nothing to show for it. I kind of feel like I'd like to see a
But
report first.
That's what the contract said.
Yeah, but
Well, but it
whether
said that
at
they
the
would
beginning of
submit
the
It did say
quarter
they
or the
would.
end of the quarter, it just said quarterly. It
No,
didn't-
it did say the
first?
first meeting of each quarter, the check would be cut, is what the contract read.
I still would like
But I
to.
will talk to Dusty and see when she can come and.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we should see something before we pay it out myself.
It's your choice, we can do that.
I agree with Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not that we want to, penalize them, but it's just only fair to perform the work and then we pay. So I'd like to at least see that report. Other than that, I didn't have any, yeah.
So the
Chris?
contract had specific start and end dates on it, Lisa, or not? Because I remember
was-
asking the question before of, when we start seeing a return on it is when it should start. So maybe that means it carries on to 2020 or 2020 first quarter, because we haven't really seen anything for the.
The contract was for this calendar
Okay,
year.
all right.
The
We were
first
just
check cut
late.
upon signature, and
Right.
then the first meeting of
Okay.
each quarter.
We were just
And
late
it
getting
did say
started.
she would come in quarterly to meet with us.
Okay.
And that hasn't happened yet.
No.
Okay. Then, yeah, I'd say let's hold off. Any other questions on the bills? Comments? No? Hearing none, we have motion second to pay the bills in $37,738.05. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cunningham,
Yes.
McNally,
Yes.
Reinig,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Kumbier,
Yes.
Christensen.
Yes.
Struss.
Yes, pay the bills. Seeing as how we have our engineer here for the park grant, I assume, right?
The assessments first, the.
Oh, the assessments as well.
Yeah.
Sure. And,
I forgot to tell him the park grant was on until he got here today.
Okay.
We had just received it from the
I'll make a
county, so-
motion to move item 8B up in the agenda.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So, final special assessment report for curb gutter sidewalks for Water Street. Mr. Tabist, you can step up to the microphone. It's also in our packet, so you can see all the listings. The good news, well, I'll let you give the good news, but prices went down instead of up.
And I did hand out a memo at your places today, too.
So I'm Tom Tabisa, Town and Country Engineering. We prepared the final assessment report for County Trunk PQ, also known as West Water Street, for the curb and gutter and sidewalk assessments for the residents that live along that route. Yes, the good news for the residents is the unit prices that Dane County Highway Department got were very favorable. And while the unit costs for sidewalk were a bit higher, the unit costs for curb and gutter were considerably lower than our preliminary estimate. So, provided a property owner had some sidewalk and some curb and gutter to be assessed for, typically their assessment went down from the preliminary total. There were, I think, 2 or 3 different parcels that went up their net total due to some additional curb that was put in that we anticipated saving, and during construction, talking with the county highway department, we made a mutual decision to replace that curb because the curb we were trying to save really wasn't worth it. So there was, I think, 4 parcels affected by that. 3 of those are owned by the Willerup Methodist Church. Those assessments, the total actually went up from the preliminary assessment, but the Willerup Methodist Church has a number of parcels along the route, and their net total for all the assessments went down $7,000 or $8,000. So
Okay.
the only other one was next door at 405 Water, went up slightly again because there was 98 feet of curb that we intended on keeping for the length of the parcel that did get replaced. So that's why that went up.
That's
Plus-
actually across the street from them, but. Yeah.
Right, and that's where that section of curb is that I'm
Yeah.
referring to, because the church owns that, parcels on that side of the road also.
Oh,
So that's the location. The other one that went up slightly was due to some asphalt behind the curb that we didn't anticipate along the Camrock Cafe parcel there.
but AJ's happy about that.
So it did go up slightly, but not more than, about 9% more than the preliminary. But all in all, the final assessments were lower than the preliminary. The total estimated cost for the village did also go down because the county did the work and was able to get some better rates than maybe another contractor would. So between the total estimated cost share that the village paid and the actual, and then subtracting out the actual assessments versus the preliminary estimated, the village came out about $50,000 ahead of what we had planned for, so. I don't know if you had any specific questions, or if now is the time for any residents to ask questions.
Tom and I had a brief discussion. The statutes do say, if it's 15% more, we can charge over what the initial estimate was. In the memo I had prepared for you, at the meeting when everyone was here, we kept telling them, this is the most you'll be charged. So, I did tally up there was $9,000 where it did go up. Roughly $4,000 was the village's, $5,000 was homeowners. It's your call if we go with the actual cost or what the estimates were.
I make a motion that we proceed with approving the final assessments for the curb and gutter and sidewalk on Highway PQ project, assessing the property owners the estimated cost,
Or the actual.
or the actual cost, whichever is lower.
Okay,
I'll second that.
very good. Then, under discussion, what that means is, for instance, Camrock Properties will pay that $16,000, yep, versus the 17. And the Grimes will be saved $1,000, so, yeah, I guess that's fine, Willerup Church is kind of a wash, but I guess this will help them out even more. So,
Yeah, and that's certainly up to the village.
and
mean,
so the
we-
village eats that cost. It'll be
Yeah, but
quick.
we told them that they wouldn't have to pay more than the estimate, and I think we need to stay true to our word,
Okay, okay.
which is
Although,
why I
well-
made the motion the way I did.
Yeah, I guess we did. We said these were estimates, but that,
You won't have to pay more than those estimates.
unless we held another public hearing,
Yep.
and we're not doing that, so, okay.
And the cost differential is under 25,000, so we don't have to.
Yeah, it's
It's under what we saved on the
$5,000.
project.
Yeah,
So the total bill to the village, though, because we're picking up that, is the $9,500.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that going to come out of?
4,000 of that is our own.
I know,
Yeah,
but,
The other five?
but we're,
The other
but we're
five.
paying it.
but we saved
We say 50
50,000.
We
We already
saved
saved
over the
50.
estimated cost.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's $1 million project.
So-
If we can't,
So does that mean, though,
5,000,
because with this motion, does that mean the village's 3
we're
that
not,
went up?
we're not paying ourselves. We're not going to get a bill. It's part of our cost of the
Okay.
project.
So we
We
can't go,
won't
we can't
send
deduct.
ourselves a bill. Either way,
Okay.
we have to pay.
Either way,
for
we
the
pay
work-
that. So it is
work.
$9,579. Okay,
We save the administrative costs.
there you go. Okay, very good. I think that's fair enough. Any other discussion? Chris, no?
No,
Oh.
I'm good.
Very
don't
good.
know
We
if-
have a motion second then. Oh, yes.
Were there any corrections?
Oh, I didn't see any, I didn't look real closely. We did talk, the one will be, the Badger Bank has been sold now, so that is a new owner. But I don't believe they ever called for a final, or a special assessment letter when that was sold, the flower shop. Little flower, or
So I didn't know if my report had to reflect that, or if it can just stay Badger Bank on
Yeah,
here.
Who did they sell the flower
well,
shop?
and we can send it to Badger Bank if they
I
want
think
to.
Rob bought it.
They Rob Warren bought it, but they never called for a special assessment letter, so. I know on Camrock they have, I did provide the estimated number for the Camrock property when they called.
Okay.
And one other house was sold already. They paid the estimated, so that we will owe them a refund.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, Mark.
Do you have a bill for Stone Meadows?
Yeah,
You were gonna
that will
send it
be
to
in
me.
here. So we put that to your attention to get to the treasurer.
I'll get it over there.
Okay, Chris.
I do have one question. Do you know why, what the extent of work that was done by the Pleasant Time area was, why it was over $20,000 for that area?
They added to the project.
They added to it?
They wanted to do more with their parking lot and agreed with the county to pay a full assessment.
Okay.
The
all right,
county agreed to do the work under the contract,
All right.
so it didn't cost the village anything.
All right, just curious. Thank you.
It's on that, and we'll talk later. There was a water main break out there then?
Yeah, and that
Recently?
wasn't related to the project, however, there was,
Okay, Dan was questioning if it was due to the project.
it was a service, from what Dan told me.
Okay.
So-
Right, but it was the contractor building the road that hit the service.
So
we're-
Dan was
we're-
hoping to
We're
bill
sending the bill to the
back.
county.
I would just talk to Greg if you think
Okay.
it was due to that, so.
And I
Dan's
just
pretty
did-
sure it was.
Yeah, that was what. I
So
had
Greg
thought.
Peterson would handle that. so.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. We have motion second then to reduce anything over the estimated amount to the estimated.
Read the bottom sentence, is basically
Approve
what.
final assessments,
There
curb
you go.
gutter, sidewalk on the highway, assessing property owners the actual final cost or the estimated cost, whichever is lower. I didn't realize it's actually on there.
Oh, that's how it.
I didn't read part.
So nice.
That's why I love it when
Yeah.
Lisa prepares these.
Remember when Mo would do all our motions for us, we just had to read them? I don't know if I like that.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thanks, Tom.
Do we want to do the
Oh, it's
bike
money.
trail
It
right
is
now?
money.
It is,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Let's do roll call.
McNally,
Yes.
Reinig,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Kumbir,
Yes.
Christensen, Cunningham,
Yes.
and Strauss.
No. Yes.
Just
I don't know why
your-
we had to
your-
go through the motion.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did. It's
Your
fine.
last meeting, you're being obstinate.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm voting no on everything.
Okay.
No,
Do
it's-
we make a
I'm-
motion to move? I'll make a motion to move the item 9C up to current business.
Second.
Or,
Yep. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So approval of the Park and Ride Bicycle Trail Grant. So, Tom, you want to take it, or you want me to start out?
Go ahead and I'll answer
Oh,
questions.
Okay. So, as this board knows, we applied to Dane County and requested the full amount of what our engineering estimate was for the project, which was $415,000. So at a 50% match, it was $209,000. And expecting to get maybe $50,000, if we were lucky, maybe $100,000. And lo and behold, we got the full amount, which was wonderful, but also kind of a be careful what you ask for, you might get it, because now we have to come up with the matching. When I say we, the bike committee has to come up with the other $209,000. However, as I explained earlier, if the committee only comes up with $100,000, then the project, they can do only the first phase of it, say, up to $200,000, and then the county would match that $100,000. There's a 5-year window in which to raise those funds and get the project done. And I also, in reading through this, I realized that there's also an opportunity to extend that. If we get to year 4 and we see we can make it, but we're not quite there yet, we can actually ask for an extension on that 5 years. So there's plenty of time, but time is also the essence, so we're going to want to move forward. There's already a grant opportunity that I think, Tom, I think you identified about a $10,000 grant, some bike federation, or I can't
People
remember.
for Bikes.
People
it's
for
called.
Bikes, thank you.
Super.
And he sent that to Bob Saloff. Bob sent it to me because he's too busy, and hopefully I'll be able to get to it. So I think it's May 1st, right, is the deadline? So I'm going to work on that grant and get it in. And then there's stewardship money, there's other grant opportunities, talking to businesses and whatnot. So over time, we hope to get as much as we can and make, as much of this project go as possible. Whether we'll hit the full 209,000 is, at this point, kind of pie in the sky, but I think we'll give it a go. We'll do our best. So, and then to answer some of Shirley's questions earlier, we looked at probably 7 different routes going north. And there's a number of goals. One was to get actually off of 134, because we want this to be kid-friendly too, family-friendly. And we really felt, most people on the committee felt like if you've got, say, a mother and father and 3 little kids on a bike, they're not going to want to go up 134. So true, experienced bikers have no problem taking that route, going single file or whatever. But if you're a family with little kids, you're not going to take, whereas this trail that we're developing, we feel eventually will be safe for families. But we want to have it off-road the entire way is our goal. But you have to take that in steps. We couldn't get easements through some of the properties, through some of the farmland. We were looking to do that, but we couldn't get those easements approved. So we had to take our next best option, which we felt Prairie Road, because it's narrow, but there's hardly any traffic on that road at all. Most, like you said, like farm equipment. I've ridden it, I know.
Have we done
So-
traffic totals on those
There are
roads?
traffic totals, yep.
Okay.
That we have from DOT, far less than 134.
So you
So,
don't
not to say
consider
people,
farm equipment,
part,
traffic, farm equipment?
but how often is that? There's a combine, in the fall or whatever.
Well, they have to do their fields in the spring.
Well,
in the
true,
fall.
Yeah,
but it's
but they
not
don't
every
travel
day.
at-
It's not every day and every day.
They don't travel at 55 miles an hour.
Right.
so.
So, we felt, the committee felt it was a safer route. So,
And really, this phase of the project is getting us up to State Farm Road. And the future goals of the committee was to look at going more off-road paths north of there, but that's for a future time.
That's true, that's true.
Weren't the easements for the farmers, wasn't that along the creek? That wasn't along the road.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was along, but we couldn't get,
Yeah.
it stalled at the point where we needed to do a wetlands study. And the farmer was concerned that if there was a wetland study done, some of his cropland might have been designated wetland and you couldn't crop it anymore.
Well, he also was concerned with the fact that he would lose his deer hunting rights on his own property.
That might have been part of
That
it
was
too.
another concern.
Okay. So,
And there's a right-of-way, I mean, you own a right, the road has a right-of-way.
mhm.
There's only seven houses between Cambridge and London on the right-hand side of the road.
Right, but there's not enough right-of-way along Highway 134 between State Farm Road and Highway 12 and 18 to put a bike path without acquiring more right-of-way. And that was another thing we looked at, is we didn't want to have to spend money acquiring a right-of-way. The route that has been selected, there is going to be no money changing hands for right-of-way.
I can't hear what you're saying.
oh yeah, maybe Tom, you could turn around and address her.
There's no money being used to acquire any right-of-way, and to build a path along Highway 134 would require more land to be purchased to have enough space to put an off-road path. With the path and then blending for elevation, blending slopes down would require more right-of-way. The objectives of the committee was to make the most cost-effective, safest, economical route that would get you from point A to point B in the next 3 to 5 years. And that's what we've accomplished by selecting this route.
But you're going on, you're saying that you're protecting children riding a bike
Yep.
down a narrow country road, as Perry Road is a very narrow road. Whether you think
And the
it's highway-
parks, and the county parks director had said with the low volume of traffic on Prairie Drive, it's very desirable for a bike route. Very desirable. And that's right from the parks director at Dane County.
I would like to see the car count on 134, since I drive it twice a day.
Again, we're talking about 55 miles an hour riding on the shoulder. This would be riding in the lane, on the road, on a 2-lane local town road. And again, this was just a stopgap to get us to the Glacial Drumlin Trail. So, right now, the majority of the dollars that are gonna be spent are from State Farm Road south to Highway 134.
So Shirley, another one of our goals was to connect the winery development and the winery and the distillery, so people could bike to those and take that 1-mile bike loop that's been that's actually a public bike loop now around the winery.
But even at the onset of the winery development, they marketed themselves that they were going to have bike trails through the vineyards. I mean,
Right, right.
back in their development.
Right,
stage.
and they
It had
have. They-
nothing to do with connecting Camrock and Glacier Drumlin. It was their.
No, we wanted to connect to that loop, though. That's one of our goals.
Well, I know that's one of your goals.
And going up 134, you wouldn't do that.
Well, people can pedal off of it and go through there if they so desire. I mean.
Or they'd have to go through someone's yard, though. There's no connection there. So at any rate, we don't want to belabor it, but the committee.
Well, there's a road that's gonna come onto 134 out of the vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is.
Not until
Eventually.
the DOT approves
I
it.
don't know.
Huh?
Not until the DOT approves it.
They haven't
Well, it's
approved it.
almost there. It's only a ditch away.
Yeah, well, they haven't approved it, so.
Shirley, would you like to sit in on the committee?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
I'd
Just-
love to.
Get
We
you in on
we
the
generally
committee.
meet Thursday mornings, 9:30, once a month. It's like the third Thursday,
Thank you.
which reminds me we need to set another one up.
We've got another
So-
member.
Yeah.
Good.
So, but for the business at hand here, we have to, as a board, approve this to sign the grant, basically accept and enter this agreement with Dane County. And again, this does not say that we're going to have to come up with $209,000. It's whatever we come up with through fundraising and grants and whatnot. The county will match 100%. They'll match 50-50 of whatever we come up with,
So
up to a maximum of $209,000.
that's not how I read this.
Sure, read it.
Actual construction or administration of the project shall be performed entirely by the sponsor. The sponsor agrees to ensure that all work on the project is completed before the expiration date.
All
Right.
work that's
That's going to be.
proposed. So if you decide
So-
you're only able to rate it's $100,000, then you let the county know that,
Did,
and this is how far we're gonna go, and when it's done, then the county reimburses you for the 50%.
so I made the assumption that when we submitted the grant, we told them what work we were looking to do.
Right.
That is a preliminary design for a cost estimate. A final design will still have to be.
Okay.
And
Submit
like Steve mentioned, the county is very flexible and will work with the community if you need an extension. We've had other communities request that, and they've deferred the construction a bit to continue to fundraise and get the funds and permits and so forth and design done. So.
Can I address one last thing?
Sure.
On 134,
Go ahead.
that there's already a sign on there, right outside of London, that
Right.
says, bike next 3 miles.
Yep, it is designated as a bike trail. That's true. But,
Okay.
but we feel like, it would have been nice if they had widened those shoulders as they had planned, but all they ended up doing was that S-curve. And they've resurfaced that road, so it's better now to bike on. At one time, it was very rough, but it's still a very narrow shoulder for most of it. So, I don't know, I can't recall exactly where I read it, but it's basically, they're going to pay 50% cost share formula. But-
Item 3 talks about that. Reimbursement will be determined, a
The
county's
exact
obligation
amount.
for reimbursement
Yeah.
will be determined after the exact amount is, yeah.
Right, so there it
Yep.
is. So you're not committing to that full amount.
Who-
It's
who
up
is-
to the maximum amount.
Who's sponsoring the bike commission?
Who's,
You mean
the
committee?
bike, you mean the
That
committee?
Yeah.
They just formed it.
There is no
Ad hoc.
sponsor. It's ad hoc. But the village did agree to be the financial agent. So Andrew was on it when he was a member, and so we raised some funds to do the initial engineering. And so that was, the distillery and the winery and the foundation put up money. And so to pay for the initial study to submit to Dane County. And so the village acted as just the go-between to receive that money and then pay the engineers.
And to submit the grant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. The village had to be the agent to submit the grant. Yeah. Request, application, yep. So it's before us now to accept this. I'm looking for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion for acceptance.
I'll second.
Okay, Kathy?
Doesn't matter.
And under discussion, any further questions?
Did we have our
Okay.
village attorney look at this?
I don't know if we did.
No, I have not sent
Yeah.
it to you.
Do, I'm just concerned, and I know, Steve, you said this doesn't obligate the village to come up with that money, but I don't know where in here it states that. Because I don't speak legalese.
Yeah. I would like to have Mary look at it so we don't paint ourselves into a corner again when it comes
Okay,
to.
we can do that. I don't know, number 3, upon county's review and acceptance of sponsors, and we're the sponsor, implementation and completion of such project, county agrees to pay sponsor up to the maximum cost set forth in Schedule A. They're not paying, it's just up to the maximum.
No,
The
no, I-
exact amount of reimbursement to sponsor is subject to sponsor providing appropriate documentation of actual project expenses and fulfilling the other requirements. So it's whatever you spend is what you get.
Okay,
You don't get
so
any more. you
if
don't
we
get-
as a village don't, so we aren't voting to actually spend any money. At some point, the village would have to spend money, vote to spend money against this project.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that's what we're liable for. That would go against this pool that then the county would match. Okay,
Correct.
that makes sense to me. I
Correct.
get that.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, we have had the discussion where the village may put $50,000 total, $10,000 a year for 5 years. We talked about that, but of course, that's a budget issue later when we get to budgeting. But that was something that we discussed. Ideally, we would raise it all through grants and
And
donations.
donations.
And then you wouldn't need any public funds. But I do feel like this is an important thing to do for the village for future economic development and just for our residents as well, connecting with that part of the community. So I think the $50,000 would be well spent personally, but that's a decision we'll make down the road. We're not making that tonight.
Paula, would you feel more comfortable if this was reviewed by outside legal counsel?
I would definitely feel more comfortable.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that Mary is going to go back against the county and
Yeah.
ask to renegotiate it. So, and I guess, Chris, the reason I'm okay with it is because we aren't obligated to spend one single dime as a village under this contract. This contract does not obligate us to any monies spent out of our pocket. So that's why I'm now comfortable with it.
Okay, and as another note, we've entered the same program with Dane County 5 years ago, is how we did the connector from Camrock up to the north end of the village. It was a park grant. We signed the same agreement then. So it's, maybe it's been modified some, but I think it's virtually the same contract that we signed 5 years ago with them. That was a lesser amount. It was $142,000, I believe, total. We raised 74. So, but yeah, it was the same contract then. And I don't know if we had Mary reviewed it, but we signed it. So I don't really see the need to personally. But it's a board decision.
Well, no, I
No,
mean,
it's the person making the motion decision.
no, actually, if Chris wanted to make a motion to postpone this vote based on some other action, he can make that motion.
There's already one on the floor.
No, you can do, I've been reading Robert's Rules of Order book, and if you're making a motion to change the question, you can make a motion to table while another motion is on the, if what you're looking to do is to table, not to table, to postpone, or table.
I am looking to postpone because, Tom, I got a question. What if, now that we have a new member of the bike committee, what if there's an alternative plan that could be more cost effective?
I think it's too late to do that. You can't submit that to Dane County. can you?
I just like to know, I like to
That's
have
pretty,
choices.
it's pretty vague. I mean, if you have a viable option, I'm sure you can present it to the county. But the funding isn't going to change. I think you're in a unique position here. This is the largest park grant that's ever been awarded. But they would like to see you spend it. They don't want to, only have you spend half of it when some other community that wasn't given all the money they asked for is still looking for funds. But I think tonight you can just make a decision that yes, you want to move forward. It still doesn't obligate you to any fund spent. I would recommend that should you approve this, that before you do any more work on the bike trail, that you collect funds and only do work that you have money for. Because at some point, the village decides we can't raise any more money, we're not going to go forward with the project. The money you've spent will come out of the funds that you collected. and the county won't pay a dime. Okay, but as long as the project gets built, then the county will reimburse you 50% up to that 209,000. Does that make sense? So,
And Chris, you haven't been in the meetings, but we've gone round and round and round.
And that's why I want,
On this,
that's why I want
there's-
Mary Bailing to look at it, because I haven't been in the meetings. I would like.
Well, Mary hasn't either. How about we
you-
approve it pending review by Mary Bailey?
That's fine. If you'd like to amend your motion.
Oh, sure. I'll amend my motion to approve the park and pending the review by Mary Bailey.
I can second that then.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Actually, it was Mark had the motion.
Pardon?
You had the original motion.
Oh.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Great.
So, Mark, you're willing to?
That
Amended
language
to
is
pending
satisfactory.
review. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Pending review.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve signing the Park and Ride Bicycle Trail Grant Agreement with Dane County, not to exceed $209,250, pending review by Attorney Mary Bailey.
Good.
All those, it's not committee money, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. very
So,
good, Tom.
park committee, bike trail committee,
Mhm.
start raising your money.
Well, we've already got one grant we're working on.
Excellent.
So we'll keep plugging. Jefferson County put $5,000 toward the engineering, so I think there's a chance that we might get some funds out of them for the project too.
Good.
It's sort of related, it is related, but not exactly on this. Did we get the $2,000?
Yeah.
That was, okay. So we had some other
From the winery?
individuals, and
Yep.
they came through?
It took a while, but
Yep.
they did.
We appreciate
The
what they did.
invoice?
Thank you, Tom.
all right, have a good night.
I think that's it for Mr. Tabis. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we'll, unless there's anything else back here, we'll go on with our unfinished business. Bid approval for Amundson Community Center Village Hall remodel. So did I read this right, that it's way below the cost estimate? Or am I reading something wrong?
It did come in below, one thing that's not included in here is the 50,000 for
the HVAC.
HVAC.
Oh, okay.
That is separate.
Oh, okay.
But they did come in, the low end did come in below what they expected. So River Architects was very pleased. Val would have been here tonight, but he had some knee surgery done today. So the low bids did come in below. They were very comfortable and happy with them. Recommended. I did just get from him yesterday. I handed out a draft contract. They did recommend going with Joe Daniels, the low bid.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with
I
that.
was a little disappointed Vogel Brothers came in so high, because we've worked with them in the past,
Mm-hmm.
been very happy with them, but
Where-
apparently they're
where's-
not hungry enough.
Where's Joe Daniels out of?
Madison. They built the town hall in Christiana.
Where's the Reese Group out of?
Yeah, they're
The
pretty
bids.
close.
And it looks like Reese Group is a female-owned business.
Oh, yeah?
And there's,
Christine.
I mean, there's virtually no difference between those two, those,
Yeah, within
Two
400,
bids.
less than $400,
right?
Doesn't matter.
300.
We do, I understand, Ted, it doesn't matter, but, I mean, we don't always have to go with the lowest bid. I'm just asking a couple of questions.
Okay.
And looking at their subs, Jensen Plumbing and Heating, that's a Madison-based. Have we done work with them? Whereas Tricor, I don't know that we have. But maybe that doesn't matter.
That's more for the plumbing portion of it, right?
Right.
Lisa? Yeah.
Which, maybe there's not a lot of plumbing on this anyway. They're both Midwest Electric. So there's no, there's no difference there.
Yep.
Just looking if it shows where they're out of.
Yeah, it's interesting how those two came so close. And then the high ones came within $50 of one another.
Yeah.
We worked Actually, the Reese Group is out of Milwaukee.
That's fine.
Val and I talked about that a little bit. They were glad to see it wasn't one at each extreme, partially because one thought was people aren't hard up for jobs right now. So some may have bid higher because if they don't get it, they're
Right.
fine with it,
Yep,
was kind of his thinking.
there's plenty of work out there.
Yeah, if
Yep.
there would have been one extreme high, one extreme low, he would have questioned and tried to see what the difference was, but it's kind of split, half low, half high.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to award this bid to whomever wants to make the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept Joe Daniels' proposal for the remodeling of the old library space.
I'll second.
Okay, under discussion, how is the HVAC going to be handled then?
What's their new name, 1901, will work with the contractors during the same period. I know during the bid process, a number of them contacted them to see how they would work and how it would.
So have we approved that bid already?
Do we know the estimate of what that's going to cost?
We did, that was before us.
That was
a
that
while-
50, that was that 50-some thousand.
57,000.
Yeah. And we did approve that. I didn't remember approving
I
it.
don't
I
remember
don't know
approving
if
that
we did
either.
approve it.
Yeah, so I don't
We
think we
may
have.
have to,
Yeah.
I'll go back and look, but
Okay.
that may have to be approved.
I think that might have to come before us yet.
So I know we had $90,000 set aside for this. Where's the rest of the money coming from?
We have not received final word yet, but we will be getting some from the foundation. And then the rest we'll have to borrow or
Or take out of reserves
mhm.
that are dwindling.
But
So,
we have decided to go forward with this project this year.
I believe so. I
Yeah.
think that's.
And I think
that's-
the pricing is fair enough, and we need to get this,
Mhm.
we need to get our staff into a little bit better work area.
Does
yep.
any of this take into consideration furniture?
No.
Not yet.
So that's another cost.
Mark?
You know, I always throw it out there. I mean, we're looking at what could be a very expensive bill with the Melster site. Does this make sense to do this right now, so long as we don't know what that one is?
That could be a year away yet, 2 years away.
I get it, and I also know what the budget was like, and I don't know where we're going to come up with $178,000 to do this, because I'm adding the $50,000 from the HVAC to the number that we have here for the Joe Daniels, and then we're going to be looking at furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that gets to be pretty expensive at the same time that we know we're going to have a cleanup.
We've got 90,000 set aside for this already. I mean, we've been planning on doing this
And any
project.
money from the foundation would be earmarked toward
Right.
this.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
monies couldn't be used for other things.
And our village staff has put up for a really long time with really substandard working conditions and a working space. So if we didn't have that $90,000 that we had already set aside for this, I would also question, is now the right time to do that? But we've got that $90,000 sitting there, so I think we...
Put it to work.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we should put it to
And
work
this
as
is also
well.
a capital expense, so we can
I mean, how long's the library been over here? We've been putting this
3
project
years.
off for 3 years now.
Four
Good
years
soft
almost,
high.
yeah.
Keep kicking it down the road, just going to cost more.
Yep. And then we can take a look at maybe making some money, a little bit of money from a rent by renting out the space that the village staff is in now. So we could
If Cart
get
is
some
still-
additional revenue
Yep, Cart's
into
still
the
interested.
village by renting out that space.
And that's the other thing. CART has expressed an interest, and they're kind of waiting.
Yep.
Don't want to put them off any further. So I think the stars have aligned. I think it's time to do it. So, so we have a motion, a second, to move forward.
And if this is approved, I'm talking to Val, I will share the contract with Mary, have her look over it. It is their
Yeah,
standard
both the,
contract.
both,
and then-
this is a standard contract.
Motion second to go with Joe Daniels Construction for the remodel of the old library space. Roll call, please.
Trustee Breinig,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Kumbier,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
McNally,
No.
Struss.
Yes, motion passes. And then we'll have to look into whether we need to consider the HVAC
Yeah.
with 1908, or whatever they're called, 1801 or
1901?
something.
Yeah.
Something. Okay, very good. No, I think this is this is good news.
I have one question
For-
based on.
Yes,
Lisa,
Chris.
do we know when the foundation will have an answer for that?
We've been waiting.
Or
They
any-
usually send them out end of March, so,
Mhm. Used to be mid-March,
yeah.
then was end of March. Now it's mid-April. So we just have to wait.
Mhm.
We don't want to bug them.
Nope, nope.
But yeah, we're curious. From the fire, we're meeting tomorrow at Fire Commission. We want to know the answer tomorrow. So, okay, request from Bill Ranget for the village to pay 50% of park signage. We've kind of gone round and round on this one. First, we thought it was a public park, and then we thought it was a private park, and now we realize it is a public park. It's been recorded as such, at any rate. We believe that we accepted it as a public park when we accepted the streets.
I think it was before then. Looking back at the timeline, back in 2015 is when we approved the CSMs and the plats for the land. This was recorded in 2015 that it's village-owned. Looking back at the minutes, there wasn't discussion that certain parcels would be, so we're not exactly sure how it was, how or when or why it was recorded.
But it's ours now.
But it is village land.
Okay.
The developer's agreement does state the developer would develop the park still.
Right. Because we waived the park fees out there. So partly because of the bike trail, but also because of that park. So.
But I just want to bring something up. Originally, when we were talking about park fees, we wanted those park fees to come to the village. And this board voted to bring those fees into the village and then to distribute them or whatever, because those park fees are usually, it's for people out there are going to benefit the most from that park.
Right, but the developer's
you know-
agreement specifically waived it, so we.
Right.
No.
And we.
Yes,
yes,
it
I
did.
it-
I understand originally it did.
It is, it's in
did.
there, Ted. It
It's-
still
it's
is,
in
that
there.
has not
Yeah.
changed. So if you were unhappy with
Well,
that,
that
you
was-
should have voted down the developer's agreement.
Was it an
And we-
amendment?
And we voted to pass it.
Was it an amendment
we
to the
had-
developers?
No,
No,
I
no,
actually
it was
remember
in the
that, I actually
original.
remember that being in the developer's agreement.
Yeah,
That was right after I joined the board, so that was like one of the first things that I
But we were
voted
talking
on.
about it ahead,
And
before
what was the
that
logic
also,
behind
Paul.
waiving
But-
over $100,000 in fees?
because they built a 1-mile asphalt bike
But
trail.
they
They were
didn't
going
build
to do
it
that
then.
anyway.
It was in the agreement that they would,
Yes, it's in, that's,
and the
and
park.
the park they were building out there, because they were doing those two efforts. That's why it was agreed to waive the park fees,
Right,
because they were building a park and they were putting in the bike trail.
and that's why our ordinances work. You either put in parkland or you give pay a park fee.
Yeah, but
So-
most of the time when you get a building permit, those park fees come to the village.
But it's also already a signed contract, and we're not going to discuss.
I don't-
Ted, we're
at
not
that
going to
point.
go round and round.
That's why
on
there's
this, Ted.
change orders.
I'm sorry, it's history.
Yep.
So, what do we want to do as far as the sign goes?
I think we should wait on the sign, and the reason I want to wait on the sign, we have other parks around the village that don't have signs yet, and when we start getting those signs put up, maybe we can get a sign out there. But I don't think this sign should take a precedence right now.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to that effect?
I do.
Go ahead.
I want to make a motion that we don't pay the 50% signage.
No, you want
fee.
to postpone it, don't you?
I want to postpone it until we get, the village takes care of some of the other signage around the area and get signs up first. Maybe even the signage that coming into the village would be really nice right now.
Well,
That's the chamber.
That's the chamber, that's a separate issue.
Well,
I'll second your
still.
motion, Ted.
thank you.
Okay, so motion second to postpone putting any amount, really. It said 50%, but toward a sign out at the winery for the Linda Biglecourt Park. Any other discussion, this item?
I'm still confused on how the village sign has anything to do with this.
We got other signs in other parks that aren't named yet. Signs haven't been made yet.
Just because we don't have signs in all of our parks doesn't mean we can't start with one. I mean,
Well, let's start with Veterans Park then first.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Back when I was the chamber president, there was supposed to be money in the village allocated for the signs on the coming into town, and Jeff Leone actually found somebody to do all the signs for $10,000, and when he came to the village, there was money with the chamber and the village, and he was told there was no money for it.
No, it wasn't a problem of money, it was, we couldn't get a rights to, we couldn't get a
right-of-way.
location within the right-of-way.
There was location.
I don't think so, because then we kicked it back to the chamber,
This was
and
in
Sheila,
2010.
Sheila Palinkas was working
I
on it.
remember.
Wasn't even on the chamber.
No,
But
but I mean,
since
more
then-
recently,
since
she was
then.
on it, and she was running into problems with DOT, and
And
she
that's
kept
all
coming,
been taken care of.
talk to,
I'm talking about back in 2010.
yeah, well,
There was signage that the village was going to, had money that was supposed to be set aside for the signs, and so did the chamber. But when Jeff came to the board, when he was on the board, that he had everything in place, he was told there was no money left. But there was at a point where.
There is
Village
money
and
left. The
chamber
foundation
both
gave
was
us
gonna pay
over
for signage.
$7,000.
we have money, yeah.
There is money.
There's
There's
money.
money there for it. Over
Well, now you
$7,000.
just said that the chamber, that's the chamber's responsibility.
Well, they took over the effort to locate it.
So you do have money to.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I have contacted Jeff to see if I can get that person
Mm-hmm.
and find the information and get these signs up.
But-
Okay.
I agree.
we have $7,000. We don't have 10.
Pardon me?
We have $7,000,
Yeah, a little over 7,000.
not
That
10.
could have interest on it every 9 years, so.
The last we knew, Sheila Palinkas was in charge of that.
Well, I asked her to give me the information over a year ago, and she never gave it to me.
Well,
That I would contact.
I'd be willing to take charge of that
Okay,
from a village standpoint.
okay, you guys,
Wait, wait,
this
wait.
has
Yeah, this
nothing
is-
to
Yeah,
do
we're
with the
getting off-
question on the table.
we're
So
getting off
can-
track.
Can we look at the question on the table? and-
yeah, yeah,
Call
yeah.
the question.
Is
Okay, we have motion
tabling
second
this?
to postpone payment of
Postpone, yeah.
50% of the park signage to the winery for Linda Biglecourt Park. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
So we got three.
I'd like to let the record reflect I'm abstaining.
Oh, then it's a tie.
Which means,
The no wins.
Oh,
which means,
oh, an
Nothing
abstention
happens.
counts as a negative, doesn't it? So,
no, an abstention doesn't count as a negative. It's still it would still be the percentage, but then it's 3-3, so nothing happens.
it's a tie. Okay. And Mark, well, I guess it's your call.
I can't, Steve, there's something that you would never think of, and I just can't vote on this issue.
Okay, okay,
I will be,
Very good.
sometime be able to tell you, but not today.
that's fine. You don't need to explain. Okay, Historic Preservation Committee. I found a Realtor. Lori Jensen said she would serve. And I gave that information to Lisa earlier. And I'm willing to serve, although I won't be on the board anymore, so I don't know if I can serve just as a citizen, but I'm willing to. Other than that, I don't have anybody lined up. and-
Carol?
Yeah,
is
Carol
interested?
Sapienza.
Oh, yeah, Carol Sapienza had said she was interested. And so as far as I recall, it's in Lisa's court, her administrator.
Yeah, and,
And you've been very busy.
yeah.
So,
It's on the pile,
okay,
just not at the top right now.
okay. We would like to move forward with it. If you need help, Lisa,
Yeah.
delegate to somebody to pull it together, then please do that. At this point, though, it's we're just kind of waiting to get the committee formed. And again, the sole purpose at this point is to decide what to do with the old water tower.
And per our ordinances, we do need to find a couple of people that meet certain criteria.
This is true.
If possible.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so if anyone has people that meet those criteria.
Pass the name on to Lisa. Okay?
Can you maybe post on our village site what we're looking for?
Mhm.
It's a thought. It's a good thought. Okay, then we'll move on to the Downtown Business Environment Committee. I've been doing a little research on this, and it's interesting. I started with Mount Horeb. They actually have Mount Horeb Area Economic Development Corporation. It's a nonprofit corporation. And it has a director who's paid, and then a board of director, or executive director, I guess. And then they have a board of directors that works kind of like this board, more on a voluntary basis, and then a number of committees. And they were formed back in 2013, and they've achieved a number of things, and I have a list here, I won't go through it all, but they've brought some businesses in, you know, a food emporium, a hotel, an innovation center, and then they've managed to develop a list of downtown revitalization efforts and buildings that they want to focus on, and they even now have a for-profit branch that buys buildings and then refurbishes them. So they're doing some amazing things. And I'm not suggesting we can do all of that, but I think we can learn from them and others, other communities that have done some positive things in the way of economic development. And so what I'm proposing is that we form this committee, a Downtown Business Environment Committee, to research, first off, research what other communities, you know, pick 4 or 5 communities in the Midwest, maybe focus on Wisconsin, whatever, find some communities that have had some success and learn from them, you know, bring ideas that have worked for them, see if they can work for us. And then to also survey the downtown business owners to get input from them on what they feel needs to be done. And so start there with just a committee. We used to have that task force, the Economic Development Task Force, before we had hired Linda. And that task force had some of that goal in mind. I know they worked with the downtown businesses and things. And that's where we came up with the idea of having a late night, you know, like a Thursday night, stay open, you know, after hours and that sort of thing. So I think, you know, starting somewhere with just this committee, I know we have the economic development effort with the chamber, but I think this can work in conjunction with that. In fact, the chamber said they'd be willing to serve on this committee, is what I heard.
What happened to the task force?
Well, when we hired Linda, then we had the Economic Development Committee, and then we had the task force, and then when we hired Linda, she was taking over what duties
I think we
they
should
did.
go back to having a committee again, Economic Development Committee.
Well, and that's what I'm suggesting. Exactly. I'm kind of focused it on downtown, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be. You know, my idea was to improve the downtown business environment to help the businesses that are down there. But it could be all-encompassing. I mean, it can help people out on 12 and 8, or on, you know, out toward ACE and that group as well. We don't necessarily leave them out.
No.
But no, I think it's, you know, yeah, we're working with the chamber, but I feel like we could do more. They're really not focusing on economic development as far as bringing businesses in, and they made that clear.
Yes.
So I think this committee could be more along that line of researching how other communities have been successful at bringing businesses in that they wanted, and basically advertising the community, and promoting and recruiting businesses, and working with the current building owners, you know, and trying to make a matchup. And so I'd like to start with that, to have a committee of volunteers that be willing to do that, and you know, go from there.
I don't know if you've seen on Facebook, Marie puts on, okay, and she's got the First Fridays.
No, I didn't.
Have you seen that?
Where it's kind of the old
Right.
that Linda ran.
Right, but she just posted today about a group of, a company that does do these kind of things, and it's a pay-per-view for their intelligence, everything that they've gathered. And you can listen to their videos and things like that, and, you know, what works, what hasn't worked, how to, and I thought that
Okay.
was really, so you'll have to read that.
Okay, okay. I know she posted something about the Camrock and what would you
Right.
like to see in there, but, I mean, dreaming is fine, but
Right.
we need
Well,
someone
but this
that
is a
can...
different thing
Okay.
that she's done.
Okay.
That she started.
Yeah.
And I think she just posted that today, as a matter
Okay,
of fact.
okay, good.
Lisa has something to say.
2 comments. One, I believe the Economic Development Committee is part of our ordinances. I have to double check.
Oh, really?
If it is, then when we do our organizational meeting, we could bring that back and
Okay,
look at what the membership should be and
okay.
get that back up and running. I have met with a representative from Weedick talking about the Melster site. He is going to set up another meeting with his partner, dealing with other grants and so forth. But as a member of Connect Communities, that would be a very valuable source to have them come in. They're willing to come speak to the board or any committees on what other communities in Wisconsin have done who are in similar situations as us. So as a part of that organization, that could be a very, you know, at no cost, a very good starting point to
Yeah.
get ideas
Okay.
on what other communities
Well,
within
well,
the
this is,
state.
this is growing beyond what my original goal. My original goal was just to focus on the empty storefronts and what can we do, you know. So I had kind of very focused, but maybe to be
So
a
let's do
broader...
like a 5-prong approach, which is what Linda had, you know, that here's the economic development plan, and these, and I think there are like 6 or 8 things that she was trying to address throughout that plan. And so maybe that's what the committee, and then the committee decides, here are the 5 things we want to work on, here's the order in which we want to work on them. I mean,
Okay.
that to me should be the first thing the committee does.
Okay.
And I would think the downtown businesses would be right up there in the top.
So,
The Economic Development Committee is in the ordinance.
Is in the,
Yep.
that's what I
Okay.
thought. So,
I
Thanks,
I
Fran.
just
Yeah.
read that the other day.
yeah.
okay, so let's go that route then. That's perfect. I mean, it's already there. Let's just re-energize that group and hopefully a chamber member can be,
What's it
Part of that.
consist of, the committee?
is that listed there, right?
Does it list what it
What
consists
the
of?
makeup is.
Okay. But,
Composition. The board, the committee shall consist of 5 members appointed by the village president. The members are the village president or the president's designee from the village board, and 4 representatives of community and business interests, including at least 1 member from real estate or retailing, at least 1 member who is small business owner and or chamber of commerce member, and at least 1 member from the legal or banking community. The
Make
village
room.
president shall appoint the members of the committee subject to confirmation by the village board.
okay, thank you.
That's it?
There you go.
Thanks, Eric.
So, okay, I think that's a great way to get it going again. Again, it's a little broader than I thought, but hey, it's all good. So, let's take Lisa's suggestion that at the organizational meeting we reestablish the Economic Development Committee. Very good. That'll be up to Mark as our new president to get that rolling. Put that on your to-do list there, Mark. Okay, very good. Then unless there's there's no action needed tonight. I just wanted to kind of fill you in on little research I've done and my thoughts, and so this is good. Very good. So we'll move on to new business. Discussion possible action regarding April 12th Chamber of Commerce Girls Night Out licenses.
So this is the remainder, the Chamber's umbrella application for the event. Box of Fluffies, and then Angels Among Us. They already have a someone who is licensed in town that will be their operator. Ruby Rose, we had done the establishment before, but we hadn't had the application for the operator yet. So these are the remainder.
I'll make a motion to approve the operator's licenses for the Girls' Night Out event.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 9B, request for Baker Tilly to assist with audit preparation, recommendation from Audit and Finance Committee. Mr. McNally, please.
Okay, the Audit and Finance Committee had a meeting this past week, and we have been given some additional worksheets requesting information that we have to process and compile. This information is new and it wasn't anticipated. There is going to be a little bit of a hiccup because some of this we can do. We estimate half. About half of it we will not be able to do, and I can't tell you why they're asking for it, but it seems to be an unusual request. I did talk with Mr. France, and they're giving us a fee quote of anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. And we are in a kind of a sore spot on this because we can't get on anybody else's calendar to get the audit done.
Well, we're under contract with it.
And we've got the
We'd
final
have to pay
year
them
of a
anyway.
contract.
Right.
So what we've decided is to gather as much of the information as we can. I have called up Mr. France, and I have asked when he will be here so that I can come by after we give him the information and then try to pin him down as far as a specific fee quote as to the increase. Because I know we're not going to get it all. But Barb is working hard on this. I think she took some of it even with her this week. So that's where we're at. There's nothing.
Is this totally new from other audits in the past? or-
Well, they did it for us, but that was part of that extra fee.
That's-
It's unreasonable, I think. that
It
we have
is
to
not
do it.
information that we had to provide to our previous auditor.
Okay,
That
that's what I was
information
trying to
he
get
had
at.
pulled out of our
Yeah,
data.
okay.
It wasn't forms we had to create for him.
And Barb said other auditors, I mean, she's been doing this for 30 years, she's never seen this required. So we're kind of doing their work for them, is the way she sees it. But I don't know that there's not much we can do about it at this point.
So we made a motion coming out of the committee to recommend to the board.
Right?
Yeah, well, we're asking for 8,000,
Right,
Okay,
so
so you
do
wanna-
you want me to make that motion?
please.
Okay.
No.
Make a motion to approve hiring Baker Tilly to complete the worksheets that need to be done for our audit in the amount not to exceed $8,000.
I'll second.
Okay. Yeah, under discussion, this is basically on top of the fee, which is what, 18,000?
19, I thought.
19.
19 this
For
year.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
19.
third year
So
was
this
19.
8 is on top of that.
Yeah.
But the good news is we're not hiring them to train any staff.
Just one comment, my concern would be that none of that $8,000 is passed on to the library. Because I would imagine, are any of those worksheets directly related to the library?
Not directly that I know of. A lot
Okay.
are utility ones, yeah.
There's kind of
It's
overlap.
appreciation of utility treatment plants, where Barb and I would get that information and know how to do that,
There's a lot of GASB stuff, like with
Yeah.
depreciation, and it's, yeah.
um,
it's-
So we pulled out what we thought we could do. I'm doing all the payroll type things. She's taking others that she could do. Like she said, she could probably figure it out, but it would take a long time.
2 to 4 weeks, not full-time, she thought. Yeah, of her time.
Like I said, not in finance. The one comment Paul made to me that caught me off guard is, well, we normally charge people $10,000 to $15,000 to do this, which tells me other customers can't complete the work either that they're requesting.
Yeah, all of a sudden, something, sounds like it's something new, too.
Well, I don't think, in the past, I think they walked our staff through it and charged us. We paid, how much did we pay last year to Baker Tilly? It was,
Well, for the last 2 years, we've paid Baker Tilly $75,000.
not each year.
Total.
Total,
For the last
good.
2 years.
That's still a lot of money. So I think, once this contract is done, which I believe is this year, is our final year, we should be looking for someone that can do it for less. But that's another issue. At this point, we have a motion, a second, to pay no more than $8,000 for the additional work necessary to get the audit prepared with Baker Tilly. It's money, so roll call, please.
Trustee Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Kumbier,
Yes.
Christensen, Cunningham,
Yes.
McNally,
Yes.
Breinig,
Yes.
Strauss.
No. I don't think they should do it.
No, I think that's good.
I think they.
I made the motion, so in making the motion, I'm implying I'm saying yes, but I would have loved to have said no.
It rubs me the wrong way,
It
I'll
rubs me
tell
the
you.
wrong way, too.
Maybe it won't make any
Oh, we gotta get
difference,
the work
so
done
I'm
though, too,
saying
so-
no.
Yep.
Screw
was it?
them.
We have to get the work done.
I
So-
understand too,
Yep.
before we
Oh,
move
yeah, go
on,
ahead.
Paul, I understand your point about the library, so we'll
Oh,
see what we
thank-
can do.
okay, Thank you.
Okay, park reservation for Barktoberfest, West Side Park, September 21st. They're getting way ahead of the game, but that's okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the park reservation for Barktoberfest.
Second.
No discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Can I just make a motion on the next one?
Go for it.
I'll make a
All of
motion to approve all of the Arts Council requests for Firefest, for the Class B license, the park reservation for Firefest, and the park reservation for the summer concert series at Veterans Park.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And I will abstain.
I really love what the Art Council does for the village. They do a lot to, I think, keep people engaged in the village and bring people in. I actually talked about Firefest to some people today, one's from Minneapolis and one's from Milwaukee, and they were very excited and wrote down the dates of the
Okay.
Firefest.
All right.
So I'm so excited to bring even more people in.
Good.
Yep.
Good promoter for the community. Okay, correspondence. We had the taxpayer talking about how we're losing dairies left and right, and they're going bankrupt, and I feel bad for them, but until we fix the milk pricing system, I don't know what the answer to that is, unfortunately. Correspondence with the DNR regarding, I think that should say 200 East Main Street, the Melster property. Lisa's written a very nice letter to the DNR explaining that we are moving forward. We're not going to fight them on this, but could they be a little bit more reasonable with their timeline and also just working with us on, what's the eventual goal here. So,
And like I said, they did acknowledge it, and we will be meeting with them.
okay, great, on the 23rd, so that's great. Tree City USA, we qualified once again, which is great. We're going to have a ceremony on, what's June?
11th, I
11th.
believe.
And dedicating our 1,000th tree planted in the community, which is pretty exciting. We're ahead of the game, and yeah, we'll continue those efforts. Then we had a focus on achievement gap for English-speaking people that are learning English as a second language, and the gap that achievement gap that's persisting. And then we have a thank you from Safe Communities. We put $1,500 toward that, and they said thank you for the money. For Cheryl Woodkey, Executive Director. Meeting announcements. We have Library Board on April 10th. Water and Sewer will be on the 16th. Village Board will be 2 weeks from tonight on the 23rd, and that'll be our first meeting with the new board, correct? So Mark will be in charge on that one. Joint meeting with Town of Oakland, as Lisa mentioned, will be on April 24th, very next day out at the Oakland Town Hall. Plan Commission on May 13th, and then another Village Board on May 14th. Questions, referrals of staff for future agenda items? We'll take the questions first. Mark.
Just given all the changes, we had a fire this past week, and one of the buildings burnt down, and there's 4 families that were displaced. I think the Red Cross has stepped in, and they're going to be talking about it tonight. And initially it was, I'll tell you the truth, it was just my wife and I, we have a bunch of stuff, and we're kind of thinking you might need some things. But there is another group in town, and I put a phone call into them, but I'm wondering if there isn't any way that we as a community could maybe help out with a family. The Red Cross did something, but they helped in the first 2 days, and then from what I'm being told
I would
that...
say get a hold of CART.
Is it CART?
If CART's, that's their job.
Yeah,
The area resource
okay.
team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
I just, given, you know, the recent election, I started doing this on my own, but then it was like, well, boy, maybe there's something as a community.
And that's what CART does.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
Cambridge
contact.
Area Resource Team.
Yeah,
And
all
they will
right.
put them in touch with all sorts of people, and they have,
And lots of different resources.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
all right.
But they may be looking for donations to
And
help
yeah,
them, I
and
don't
then they'll
know,
reach out to,
yeah.
the community, right.
All right. If I hear anything, I'll bring it back to you, but...
Okay, great, I appreciate looking into that, it's good. I'd heard there was behind the pig there, right?
Yeah.
I'd heard about it, I didn't know 4 families got displaced, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's sad. Hmm.
Little boy, I think, or a child was playing with a lighter, and
Really?
take much?
The couch?
yeah,
boy.
and the building went up, and
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
thing is totaled, and so
Jeez. Sad.
I doubt there's insurance there, and you know, renter's insurance.
Well,
That's why it's so nice that if you can build buildings with fire stops, so if one building if one apartment has a fire, the rest of them can
Yeah.
continue living in the
Or
in-
sprinklers,
in
the
building.
new apartments out at the winery all have sprinklers. Yeah,
Oh, it's big enough to.
Whole different code now if you're building a new one. so-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So on April 23rd, there'll be the Safe Communities brief presentation, and a thank you for your support. Oh, so that's at the village board meeting?
Yeah, they had asked if they could come. to
Right,
this.
and then there'll also be, well, there will not be TID 5.
Nope.
Nope,
Scratch that.
that will be up.
Yeah,
Right.
the Plan Commission last night voted not to move it forward, so it died.
And then I have a question. Have we gone anywhere on our forever garage sales ordinance?
That's up to the Plan Commission.
No,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
can we, okay.
yeah.
Actually, where did that stand? I think Vicki had some proposals,
She
but I think,
had gotten me a sample from a different
Right.
community.
I think
And,
Christiana has it.
yeah, unfortunately, that's another one in the pile.
Okay, I was just
Well-
wondering.
Yeah.
well, again, if you could delegate that back to the Plan Commission,
Yeah.
let them hammer
Yeah.
it out. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so
So-
put that on our agenda sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have talked about it last night, but last
No,
night was pretty
we
long.
weren't going to be
No.
talking about it last night.
But the next one,
That was long enough.
now that you don't have all the development happening out there, you'll have
Yeah,
some
we got
time.
nothing.
Yeah, right. So, take that on. That'd be a good thing to do.
Yep.
And I did get a clarification from Greg today that, because there were questions last night. The TID statutes do require approval by the Plan Commission for the new district, so therefore there's no consideration by the village board or additional
Got it.
action by the joint review board.
Okay. I did not realize that last night, that it died there.
Yes, it did.
I thought that this board could still take it up and
Shortest
override.
chairmanship I ever had.
That's right, you were over, yeah, for that, the joint review board. But no, it's not going to happen.
Anyway.
It's done is done, so, but I think it was probably the right decision.
Okay, I have one
Okay,
other thing.
something for staff, yes, Paula?
No, I actually have not something for the staff, but I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Steve Strauss.
All of your years of service, you have done an amazing job
Yep.
Well,
with
thank-
all of the years, everything that you've been on.
Yep.
For us, you are a source of historical data.
Well, and I'll still be.
And the amount of people that
Yes.
you've reached out in the community to get involved in things. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So
So you can kick me later.
So you're a good example for all of us, and your dedication and love for Cambridge is really evident in everything you do. So thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Oh, boy. Gonna embarrass me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you. Well, it's been an honor.
How many years?
Actually, I don't even know how many years it's been. I kind of lost track. Because I was on the board before my daughter was born, or about the time she was born.
When I
Wow.
started,
Yeah.
you were on.
But, so, yeah.
It's a lot of
And
years.
how
So-
long was that?
But I did, so that was
15?
20, yeah, and
20 years?
about 93, 94. So
94 years?
94. No, yeah, it feels like,
Feels like it.
in 1994, I think is when I came out. But I also was off for a while during John Schrader's reign. Because
Yeah.
things got a little dicey there, so I was
Yeah.
off, but then I came back on. I know Paul, I served with Paul for a while. You were on village board for a while, and I was on with you. So, and no, it's been an honor, and I love this community. So, and most of it's been very enjoyable. There's been some tough decisions along the way, but most
Yep.
of them have been fairly easy. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve.
So drinks
Thank
are on
you.
me out at the Keystone later.
All right.
So with that, we'll look for number 13.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, good. Do we have a second?